Being born into money sounds like a blessing. People assume your life is easier, that opportunities come naturally, and that success is almost guaranteed. But the truth is, growing up with money comes with its own silent disadvantages. In many cases, it doesn't build strength, it slowly replaces it. Psychology shows that when pressure is removed too early, people struggle to develop independence, discipline, and real financial control. And over time, this creates a hidden problem most don't see coming. Dependence disguised as success. That's why so many people with every advantage still feel stuck, unmotivated, or unsure of how to build something on their own. And here's the part most people miss. This isn't just about being born rich. These patterns show up in anyone who avoids pressure and delays responsibility. Here are 7 real struggles of being born with rich parents. They grew up around money, but never really felt it. It was always there, like Wi-Fi, you don't question it, you just use it. That's where the trap begins. Without friction, spending feels effortless, almost invisible, and that quietly destroys any real sense of personal finance awareness. It's wild, but studies in financial psychology show that people who don't earn their first dollars early often struggle 2x more with money habits later in life. Think about a character like Logan Roy's kids in Succession. They move millions like it's pocket change, but there's no emotional weight behind it. That's exactly what happens here. So the first real move? Strip it back. No apps, no automation. Grab a notebook and track every single dollar manually for 7 days. Yeah, it sounds basic, but that's the point. When they see the numbers, it hits differently. Now here's where it gets practical. Every time they spend, coffee, Uber, random online buys, they write it down immediately. This builds friction, and friction builds awareness. Within a week, patterns start showing up, maybe $120 gone on food delivery, or $80 on subscriptions they forgot existed. That's not just data, that's a wake-up call. This is real financial education, not theory. And here's the kicker, once they start noticing where money leaks, something deeper happens. They begin to question their own behavior. That's where the shift begins. Because if spending was never the problem, what if the real issue is they never had to develop capability in the first place? That's exactly where this gets uncomfortable next. They grew up comfortable, so life felt smooth, but smooth doesn't mean strong. Access replaced effort, and over time, they start believing they're capable, when really, they've just been supported. That's a dangerous illusion. In personal finance and financial psychology, this shows up as overconfidence without results, wanting wealth without knowing how to make money on their own. It's like watching someone in Emily in Paris, things just work out, doors open, connections happen. But real life? It doesn't run on convenience. So here's the shift, they need to pick one income-producing skill and go all in. Not 5, not 10, just one. Sales, copywriting, coding, investing analysis, anything that directly ties to how to make money in the real world. Now make it real. If they choose sales, they should practice daily, literally. Pitch a product, negotiate a price, even if it's just flipping items online. Platforms like eBay or Facebook Marketplace are perfect training grounds. If it's copywriting, write 1 sales page per day and study proven ads from brands like Nike or Apple. This isn't theory anymore, this is building money habits that produce results. And here's where it gets interesting. The moment they try to use that skill in the real world, something hits them hard. Not everything works. Not everyone says yes. And suddenly, comfort disappears. Because capability isn't proven in ease, it's tested in rejection. And that's exactly the next wall they run into. They're not used to hearing no, and that becomes a serious weakness. When doors have always opened, rejection feels personal, almost offensive. But in the real world of personal finance and how to make money, no isn't rejection, it's feedback. And people who avoid it, they stay stuck, no matter how many resources they have. Think about the pursuit of happiness. Chris Gardner gets rejected over and over, but that's exactly what sharpens him. Meanwhile, someone who's never faced rejection folds at the first sign of resistance. That's the gap. So here's the move, they need to intentionally put themselves in situations where no is likely. Sales calls, negotiating prices, asking for discounts. This is real financial education in action. Make it simple but uncomfortable. Go into a store and ask for 10% off, just to practice. Offer a service online and pitch 10 strangers a day. Try negotiating rent, freelance rates, anything. At first, it'll feel awkward, maybe even embarrassing. But after 30, 50, 100 reps, something changes. No stops hurting and starts teaching. That's when real money habits begin forming. And here's the twist: once they stop fearing rejection, they start seeing opportunities everywhere. Conversations become leverage. Situations become deals. But that opens up a deeper question they weren't ready for. If doors don't define them anymore, then who are they, really? That's where things get even more real next. When money has always been there, identity gets blurry. They don't know if they're confident, or just comfortable. If they're skilled, or just supported. That confusion runs deep, and it quietly affects every decision they make in personal finance and how to make money. Because if they don't know who they are without money, they'll never build something that's truly theirs. It's like Bruce Wayne in The Dark Knight. Is he Batman because of his mission, or because of his resources? That tension is real. So here's the shift: they need to set goals that have zero connection to family wealth. Not grow the portfolio or manage assets, but something raw and personal. Like building a $1,000 per month income stream from scratch, with no external help. Now make it concrete. They can start a small online business, freelance, or even a simple service like social media management for local businesses. Track every dollar earned independently. When they hit their first $100, it'll feel different, because it's theirs. That's where financial psychology starts rewiring. That's how real money habits are built, from ownership, not access. And here's where it hits harder: once they taste independent success, they realize something uncomfortable. Discipline suddenly matters. Effort matters. Because without structure, everything they're trying to build falls apart fast. And that leads to a problem they've been avoiding their whole life. What happens when there's no pressure forcing them to stay consistent? That's exactly where this breaks down next. No pressure means no urgency, and that's where everything starts slipping. When survival isn't on the line, discipline feels optional. They tell themselves, "I'll do it tomorrow," and tomorrow turns into months. In personal finance, this is deadly. Because wealth isn't built on big moves, it's built on consistent money habits repeated daily, even when no one's watching. Look at someone like Tony Stark in Iron Man. Genius? Absolutely. But without structure, he was reckless. It was only when he created systems, routines, protocols, that things scaled. Same thing here. So the move is simple, but not easy. Build non-negotiable routines. Wake up time, work blocks, learning time, execution time. No excuses, no vibes, just structure. Make it practical. Set a fixed 2-hour daily block focused only on income-producing actions. No scrolling, no distractions. Track it like a job. Use a simple checklist: outreach done, skill practiced, offer improved. Studies in financial psychology show that people who follow structured routines are 40% more likely to increase income over time. This isn't hype, it's execution. And here's the uncomfortable truth: once they start building discipline, they realize how fragile everything actually is. Because deep down, there's a fear they've been avoiding this whole time. A quiet thought in the back of their mind: what if all of this disappeared? Could I rebuild it? That question? It changes everything. Deep down, there's this quiet anxiety they don't talk about. Not loud, not obvious, but always there. Because if they didn't build the wealth, how can they trust themselves to rebuild it? That fear shows up in subtle ways: hesitation, overthinking, avoiding risk. And in personal finance, hesitation is expensive. It keeps them stuck in place while others move. You can see this in the social network. Eduardo had access, stability, but when things got uncertain, he struggled to adapt fast. Meanwhile, people who've built from zero, they move differently. So here's the shift: they need to prove to themselves, through action, that they can create value from scratch. Not millions, just something real. Start small, but make it undeniable. Build a side hustle that generates $100 on their own. Sell a digital product, offer a simple service, flip items online, doesn't matter. What matters is ownership of the result. That first $100 hits harder than any allowance or transfer ever could. That's real financial education. That's how money habits get anchored in confidence. And here's where it gets deeper. Once they realize they can rebuild, something shifts internally. The fear starts fading, but another gap becomes obvious. Because even with money and confidence, something still feels off. Like they were given resources, but not the understanding to use them well. And that's where the real problem has been hiding all along. They had access to money, but no one really taught them how to think about it. And that's the real gap. Because money without wisdom, it disappears fast. In financial psychology, this shows up as impulsive decisions, poor investments, and a constant feeling of emptiness, even when the bank account looks full. That's why so many people with resources still struggle with personal finance. Think about King Solomon's story in the Bible. He didn't ask for wealth, he asked for wisdom. And because of that, wealth followed. But when wisdom is missing, the opposite happens. It's like in billions, huge money moves, but without discipline and clarity, everything can collapse overnight. That's the difference between having money and knowing how to make money consistently. So here's the foundation. They need to master small responsibilities first. Track small expenses, manage a simple budget, make intentional decisions daily. That principle, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much, isn't just spiritual, it's practical financial education. Studies show that people who manage small amounts well are significantly more likely to sustain long-term wealth. Now apply it. Give every dollar a job. Decide in advance where money goes, investments, savings, learning. Start reading real books like The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel or Rich Dad Poor Dad. Build money habits that reflect control, not emotion. Because once they gain wisdom, everything changes. But here's the real question. What if everything you just saw isn't just about them, but about patterns you might recognize in yourself? Remember how confusing it felt watching people grow up around money but still struggle to control it? How easy it was to assume that access automatically meant understanding. Now you can see that's not how it works. Money without discipline, without identity, and without real financial education creates patterns that repeat for years. But once you see those patterns clearly, you're already ahead of most people stuck in the cycle of spending without intention and chasing how to make money without structure. And here's the part most people miss. None of this is permanent. The habits, the reactions, the mindset around personal finance, they can all be rebuilt. That's why you should hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now, because the next lessons will go even deeper into financial psychology, money habits, and the real strategies behind building stability and control. Most people never get this level of clarity, and that's exactly why they stay stuck. If you're serious about changing how you handle money, there's something that can help you take this even further. Inside the Material Holistic Health, nourish your mind, balance your finances, transform your life, you'll learn how to create structured money habits, build income streams from scratch, develop emotional control over spending, and understand exactly how to make money in a way that actually lasts, not just quick wins that disappear. It's designed to connect mindset with real-world execution. Click the link in the pinned comment now and start transforming your finances today. It's your time. Check out the material in the pinned comment. And remember, the difference between staying stuck and building real financial freedom often comes down to what you decide to do after you recognize the pattern.